is a left-hand course, so stay on the left.
Almost a rolling start here. We just had to go onto the road and then we were off straight away. It's a slight little flat section, but basically the first nearly just short of 4 kilometres is mainly uphill. There's a little flat section as well coming up. Lovely cool evening, clear blue sky, sun's out. Breeze, there was a bit of a breeze but seems to have died down at the moment. So we've probably gone at it around 50-80 metres, and you can probably see in front that it's starting to go uphill here. It's not steep this bit, it's only short as well.
Sorry about that. Don't worry.
As you can see, it's quite crowded at the start. We're supposed to be staying on the left hand side of the road, but people seem to have, just for this start, gone all the way across the road. But I don't mind a bit of a slower start, especially knowing the first nearly 4 kilometres is all the uphill section. I want to save a little bit so I can really pick my pace up once we start on the downhill and back to the finish. We're almost at the top of this little climb. Just looking at the lake on the left there. Sun's out, beautiful evening for running. So we're now onto a flat section here. Just gives you a chance after that start to get into your pace. A great turnout as well this evening. I think it's just over 400 finishers, I believe. So at this point, it's probably slightly downhill, not by much. It'll not be long before we start to head up again. The water on the right is Elsecar Reservoir. And as we pass there, we're going to take a left turn soon and then head up towards Wentworth. Beautiful little village. I think with the putting the clocks back this year being that little bit later, it just means it's going to be light. Even when we finish, a couple of years ago I seem to recall finishing, it was almost dark by the time I'd finished, or certainly dusk. As you can see, it's spaced out now nicely, quite easy to get past people if you need to. You do have to maybe move a little bit left to right, but it's not too bad. We're starting to go up again now slightly. Not long before we turn left, and then it is a long uphill stretch then. You almost see by people's running styles we're going uphill now again here. We've just got to the top of that little rise just there. It's just flattening out a little bit again. You can just see over to the left, you can see the church spire, that's Wentworth. You can see the runners going to the left. The camera really flattens the angle, but it's actually quite a lot higher than where we are up into Wentworth. Should we go around this corner? Again, just the slightest little bit of downhill just there into the corner, and now we're on the uphill stretch. This goes all the way into Wentworth, flattens out a little bit as you go through Wentworth, but then in the middle of Wentworth we take a left turn and then it starts to go uphill again then. I've done this race a couple of times before, and I like to make sure I pace myself carefully till we've got to the top of the hill. There are a few little sections, like when you get into Wentworth, where you can get a bit of recovery before the next hill, but then making sure when you get to the very highest point, then you can sort of push on, knowing it's nearly all downhill to the finish. Although this year there is a slightly changed course, so there is a slight little incline, maybe half a mile before the finish, but nothing that's too steep. This bit on here is a long gradual incline, and we're going to get to a right hand bend up here where we go up into Wentworth, and that's just a short steep section. About 3/4 of along this section just here before the sharp right turn, and it just tends to get closer you get to the corner, it just gets a little bit steeper as well. Quite happy with my pace here. I've done hills the last 2 days, so I did set off with the intention of this being a training run, but once you set off you sort of get into a pace. So now I'm thinking that because it's going well, when we get to the top hill I'll certainly push then from that point onwards until it's a little bit steeper just here. And then it's just going to flatten out a little bit just here before we take this right turn, and then it's a short steep section up into the village. The camera just does not show hills as steep as they are. We're getting a bit of support on this corner. And this bit now is a steeper section, but it's only short. Then once we're onto the main street in Wentworth, it's still slightly uphill, but fairly flat, just for a short section. You can see we're nearly at the road junction here. Once we get to this is the short steep section over. As we go left here now, this is flattening out quite a lot now, but still just slightly going uphill. We're going to go along here about 100 yards, then take a left turn into, I think it's called Clayfield Lane, and that's where the climb starts again. It is nice, this course, you get all the hills out of the way in the first half of it. You can see the sun's still out on the buildings. When you get into the sun you can feel the warmth, really nice. I think I'll have to try one year try setting off faster and seeing what effect it has on my time. But I do like to make sure that I'm okay on the hills with plenty spare for afterwards. So just a short little bit, and then we'll take a left turn here. And this just keeps us off the main road, cuts off like two sides of a triangle. If we'd gone straight on, the road goes left and then up a hill. So again, this bit is just, we're starting to rise, and it's just going to get a little bit steep as we get to this corner. As we get higher up, even though the sun's setting, you can see the sun on everybody now and the long shadows. flattening out just a tiny little bit just here. But there is more hill climbing to come. Probably only 400-500 metres away from the highest point now. So again, just had that little flatter section there, and we're starting to go back uphill again now. Warmth of the sun's really nice. Once we get to the top and start to head down the hill, we'll be on the wrong side. The sun will sort of disappear, I think, at that point. It'll have set a little bit more and we'll lose the sun. So we're still going uphill at this point. It's not steep though. As we get along here, it's just going to flatten out a little bit, and then there's a very short little downhill section, and then we'll take a left turn and start to go upwards again. And this bit's fairly flat now just here. And so when I watch the video back, I can sort of tell by the running style of the people in front whether they're going uphill or downhill. So we're going downhill now, just short, it's only to this corner just here. Then we're going to take a left turn, and then this is a last longish climb. Here they're asking us to stay on the footpath if we can. It's a busy road. Well, this bit's fairly flat just here. Just forgetting a little bit what it's like, and then we're just going to go slightly down just for 30-40 metres. Just like a little dip in the road just here. So we're just going down a little bit now. Now we're just starting to go up the other side of the little dip. We're going to take a left turn soon, and then the last climb. It's one that starts gradual, and the last little bit at the top's a little bit steeper. Gets a little bit steeper as you get close to the top. We go to the left now, and this is the last big hill that we go up. As I said, this gets a little bit, the closer you get to the top, the steeper it gets. Again, this is where it's starting to get a little bit steeper just here. Maybe only 100 metres left now before we get to the top of the hill. You can see the top of the distance. got that last little steep section to go. We're just onto the last little steep bit now, not too far down. That's the hills done. And once you get over the top of here, it gives you a chance to let your legs go, get your breath back a little bit, and push on the pace. It's a good race for trying negative splits, this one actually, because the first start is uphill and then you just go faster as you go downhill to the finish. You can see this is the steepest bit on this climb just before the top. Once we get to this house, this is it. This is the top of the hill. Apart from one little hill because of a change course this year, it's all more or less downhill now to the finish, so just try and let my legs go. I'm out of breath, but let my legs go. Just saying well done to one of the runners from our club there. Struggled actually to stay with her right up to that point. So this is the point now, sort of like you've been running up a hill, really tired. You can maintain that level of tiredness going downhill, just keep pushing on, and you tend to get your breath back because the downhill part of it means you're not pushing as hard. Hopefully I can catch up and pass a few people in front as we go down this long hill. We go down this road right to the very end to, I think it's called Smithybridge Lane or Smithybridge Lane, and then we'll take a left turn and then we're heading back towards the finish then. Really nice this. It's just one of those sort of levels of downhill where you can let your legs go. It's not too steep that you're holding back. You can just push on with the pace, which everyone seems to be doing. There are a couple of points on here, like here, where it just flattens out just a tiny little bit, and there is a couple of little undulations on it, but nothing you can't just maintain your pace up, knowing that it's down along the other side. I think on this downhill section, the bit we've come so far, I think this guy who's just in front seems to be able to chat to his friend, so I'm going to try and see if I can stay with him going down here. He seems to be catching people and passing people. I'll see if I can tag on to the back of him, follow along. And after that slightly little flatter section, it's heading back downhill again now. At this point here, it's just flattened off a tiny little bit. can remember when we get to this corner in front, it's just a slight little rise, but nothing that you can't maintain your pace on, knowing that it's downhill again on the other side. The pace is really good. I feel like I can maintain this pace. I know we are going downhill. I've got my breath back now. Still breathing hard, of course, because I'm trying hard, but feeling really good. Just going to get past this group and try and stay with this guy again. Just starting to feel a little bit of the breeze that we got tonight, but hopefully as we get lower down that'll disappear and the trees will offer some protection. Just a quick look at my watch there, trying to guess on my time. I said it's a 5 mile course, so usually 5 mile, but I think it ended up being about 5.3. We decided, a group of us, when we had finished. We get to this little corner just here. It's just a slight little uphill section just here, but nothing much. Done the course before, you can just push on this bit, knowing it's flattens off and downhill again, but really quickly. In fact, you could see by the car coming the other way that it was hidden. So that's the top of that little incline, and it's flattened back downhill again now. Not too far to the junction now at the bottom of the hill, and then it of course will flatten out quite a lot. Just going to try down here and see if I can just get a little bit more pace and try and just get a bit close to this guy in front that I'm trying to follow along. Easier said than done. He's got a very similar pace to me. It's difficult now trying to maintain this pace, knowing that when we get to the bottom of this hill it's going to be flat. Few little inclines on the way back, but mainly flats. Just got to save enough energy to be able to get up those hills. It's not too far to the bottom where we'll turn left. I can't remember what the road name's now, it'll come to me in a minute. The guy's starting to get away from me now, just trying to just increase the pace a little bit to try and catch up with this group in front. I think I've lost that guy now that I was pacing. I think he's just that bit faster than me. There's nothing I can do. But I'll try and keep him in my sights the best I can. It's just starting to get a little bit steeper now, this downhill section, just as we get to the bottom of this hill where the junction is. I'm not actually too sure, because it's a change course, exactly where the finish is either, so that's going to be a little bit tricky knowing when to make the effort towards the end. I know where the old finish used to be. So you can see the junction now, and we're going to go left here, and it's called, I think, Smithybridge Lane, I think is what it's called. And once we turn left here, then we're heading back towards the finish. It's got nice bits of sun here as well. I thought we'd be too low down. I didn't think we would get the sun, but we're just getting a tiny bit of it occasionally. So the road's pretty flat now at this point. Starting to feel tired now as well. In my legs I can feel it. I don't think anything's coming. I'm going to take the shortest route across this roundabout. If it saves a couple of steps, that'll do me. Just having a quick look at my watch, just trying to work out if it's 5 miles, roughly what sort of time I'll be in. How many more minutes I've got to go along this road before we get possibly to the finish. It's nice and flat though now. Like I say, there are a few undulations on this, but nothing too bad at all. And the last little uphill section, once you get up there, you're almost at the finish then. Completely lost sight of the guy I was trying to tag along with now, but let's see if I can slowly reel just maybe a couple more in front before we get to the finish. It's hard because we're all running a very similar pace. I'm just trying to do what I do when you feel good, pick the pace up a little bit. When you feel bad, just try and hang on there. Go around this corner, we're just going to go down very slightly. Going slightly downhill just here now. It flattens out pretty quickly though. I always think when someone passes me like that, do they know that it's not too far to the finish and they've got a bit left? I think where we go left here now, this is now called the New Road. They obviously built a new road and thought, what shall we call it? Let's call it New Road. a guy come past. I had a quick check at my watch again to see, looking at the time and think, yeah, maybe not too far to the finish now. So I'll try and pick up my pace a little bit now, hoping that it's not too far, see if I can pass a few more people. Not quite sure what he said to me there. I don't know if maybe he knows me and I don't recognise him. I might pick my pace up a little bit just here in this last 100 metres. I'm just trying to remember where the little inclines are, because they're not far from the finish once we get to them. I do find it helps sometimes when someone passes. If I feel good and I can pick my pace up to try and stay with them, it pulls me along. Road's nice and flat at this point. I'm starting to feel tired, but still feel I've got plenty left to get to the finish. You can see ahead just this little incline, and then there's another one after it. This is a shorter of the two, I think. We're just going up here at this point. That's the first of the two little uphill sections done. Just flattens out just a little bit here. Then you can just see where those cars are. We're just going to go up a hill again just here. And then it's fairly flat to the finish then. So that's it, that's the last little incline done. It's now more or less flat to the finish now. Just trying to see if I can recognise anywhere when we get closer to it. Again, just checking my watch, looking at the time. I think this is the point where I realise it's definitely more than 5 miles. But we're all running the same distance, so it doesn't make any difference. Hoping I can maybe catch 1 or 2 more up before we get to the finish, but I don't seem to be getting any closer at the moment. Yeah, I think we're pretty close to the finish now. Don't think it's too much further. Yeah, does this guy know that we're nearly at the finish? Is he pushing on because he knows that? As I said, I'm not quite too sure where the finish is. I'm not sure we go over the bridge where the canal is, or whether we cut onto the path on this side of it and the finish is somewhere along there. I think we go onto the path because there's roadworks on the main road. That's why we've got a slightly different route this year. Just trying to look well in front, see where the runners in front are going. See if I get a clue. Just a slight little incline just here, but nothing much as we go over this bridge. And that's the railway line under there. Yeah, we're turning left onto this track, but I don't know how long we're going to go, how far we go along this track to the finish, but we're almost there now, so maybe I should have picked my pace up a little bit early. I feel like I've got plenty left. With an obstacle there. So where's the finish? Can we see it? Just looking, there's no one coming behind. Yeah, I can see the finish. I'm going to push on. Can I just pass this lady just here before the finish? Yes, I can. It's 37:19. Definitely more than 5 miles with a time like that, even taking the hills into account. I'll just get my token. They run this like the park run scheme where you get a barcode on your number and a finish position token and 171.
Order first place. Lauren, Julia.
Thank you.
Staying order for guys, well done.
I get loads of people like
Well done. Well done.
There's not loads of people's names I remember though, like, you know what I mean? Remember that one during the blockheads.
Well done,
Got one
keep
at
moving
customers
through.
called David Cameron.
Well done,
Things like that you remember
keep
though.
moving through. Well done, that's the finish. Well done. Well done. Well done, John.
So P171 and 37.5 minutes. I think it's 5 miles, 5 and a bit miles roughly. I don't know what the exact distance is.
Skip the queue to move around.
Thank you.